The Jataka, or birth stories of the Buddha, are ancient tales handed down by an oral tradition. They tell of the previous births of the Buddha and are believed by Buddhists to contain the essence of Buddhist teachings. This particular story illustrates the power of observation and quick wit. It is also a story about seizing opportunities and making the most of them. Once on a time when King Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares in Kazi, the Bodhisattva was born into the treasurer's family and growing up was made treasurer. Being called treasurer, little, a wise and clever man was he, with a keen eye for signs and omens. One day on his way to wait upon the king, he came on a dead mouse lying on the road, and, taking note of the position of the stars at that moment, he said, "Any decent young fellow with his wits about him has only to pick that mouse up, and he might start a business and keep a wife." His words were overheard by a young man of good family but reduced circumstances, who said to himself, "That's a man who has always got a reason for what he says," and accordingly he picked up the mouse, which he sold for a farthing at a tavern for their cat. With the farthing he got molasses and took drinking water in a water pot. Coming on flower gatherers returning from the forest, he gave each a tiny quantity of the molasses and ladled the water out to them. Each of them gave him a handful of flowers, with the proceeds of which, next day he came back again to the flower grounds provided with more molasses and a pot of water. That day the flower gatherers, before they went, gave him flowering plants with half the flowers left on them. And thus, in a little while, he obtained 8 pennies. Later, one rainy and windy day, the wind blew down a quantity of rotten branches and boughs and leaves in the king's pleasance, and the gardener did not see how to clear them away. Then up came the young man with an offer to remove the lot, if the wood and leaves might be his. The gardener closed with the offer on the spot. Then this apt pupil of treasurer little repaired to the children's playground and in a very little while had got them by bribes of molasses to collect every stick and leaf in the place into a heap at the entrance to the pleasance. Just then the king's potter was on the lookout for fuel to fire bowls for the palace, and coming on this heap, took the lot off his hands. The sale of his wood brought in 16 pennies to this pupil of treasurer little, as well as 5 bowls and other vessels. Having now 24 pennies in all, a plan occurred to him. He went to the vicinity of the city gate with a jar full of water and supplied 500 mowers with water to drink. Said they, "You've done us a good turn, friend. What can we do for you?" "Oh, I'll tell you when I want your aid," said he. And as he went about, he struck up an intimacy with a land trader and a sea trader. Said the former to him, "Tomorrow there will come to town a horse dealer with 500 horses to sell." On hearing this piece of news, he said to the mowers, "I want each of you to give me a bundle of grass today and not to sell your own grass till mine is sold." "Certainly," said they, and delivered the 500 bundles of grass to his house. Unable to get grass for his horses elsewhere, the dealer purchased our friend's grass for 1,000 pieces. Only a few days later, his sea trading friend brought him news of the arrival of a large ship in port. And another plan struck him. He hired for 8 pence a well-appointed carriage which plied for hire by the hour, and went in great style down to the port. Having bought the ship on credit and deposited his signaturing as security, he had a pavilion pitched hard by and said to his people as he took his seat inside, "When merchants are being shown in, let them be passed on by 3 successive ushers into my presence." Hearing that a ship had arrived in port, about 100 merchants came down to buy the cargo, only to be told that they could not have it as a great merchant had already made a payment on account. So away they all went to the young man, and the footman duly announced them by 3 successive ushers, as had been arranged beforehand. Each man of the 100 severally gave him 1,000 pieces to buy a share in the ship, and then a further 1,000 each to buy him out altogether. So it was with 200,000 pieces that this pupil of treasurer little returned to his city. Actuated by a desire to show his gratitude, he went with 100,000 pieces to call on treasurer little. "How did you come by all this wealth?" asked the treasurer. "In 4 short months, simply by following your advice," replied the young man, and he told him the whole story, starting with the dead mouse. "Thought, Lord High Treasurer, little, on hearing all this, I must see that a young fellow of these parts does not fall into anybody else's hands, so he married him to his own grown-up daughter and settled all the family estates on the young man, and at the treasurer's death, he became treasurer in that city. And the Bodhisattva passed away to fare according to his deserts.